All right. Well, welcome to Truth Telling Tuesday for Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. The cash flow king who crowned himself with everyone else's money. So we are excited to bring you this Truth Telling Tuesday so you learn what not to do as a real estate agent.
We love bringing you these juicy stories. We think that they're going to sink in harder when you hear actual stories of agents who have fucked up royally to the point of prison time or losing their license. In this case, this dude's doing hard time in prison right now. So here we go. Let me turn on my do not disturb here as to not be disturbed. All right, here we go. All right, so no guests today. You got me, Sandy Lynn Burnett. Just me, stiff coffee, which you already saw, and the story of Matthew Motil, the Ohio agent turned podcaster who got just 70 months. He's just got 70 months in federal prison for turning investor trust into a $7.3 million Ponzi scheme. Some of you sent clients his way. Some of you almost did. This episode is the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. So let's get into it. Picture this. 2017 to 2022, Matt Motil, licensed agent, slick website, cash flow king podcast, even wrote a book called Man on Fire. He's telling everyone private lending is the safest, smartest, most passive way to make money in real estate. First lien position, fully secured, you're the bank. Sounds familiar, right? We've all heard some version of this pitch. Here's what he was actually doing. He'd buy a distressed house for, let's say, $47,000, and then he'd turn around and sell 20 different promissory notes on that same $47,000 house, making a total face value north of $1.3 million. So there were 20 investors on this $47,000 property, all believing that they held the very first mortgage. Many never saw a recorded deed of trust. Some got forged notary stamps. When people asked, hey, why isn't my mortgage showing on the title? He'd say, title companies are slow. That's a classic stall tactic. And the money, new investor cash, went straight into paying old investors. Textbook Ponzi. The rest, though, funded courtside Cavs tickets, a Lake Erie mansion lease, and keeping his gym businesses afloat. While retirees, cancer researchers, and an active duty Air Force lieutenant colonel watched their life savings all disappear. These are all the victims that testified in his trial. Now let's hear from the people he gutted. These are not hypotheticals. These are real hits pulled straight from the filings and the fallout. Quiet, whiskey. One investor, call him Investor A. Whiskey is really spooked by this story. Handed over $577,000. That's nearly every dime of his life savings and retirement funds gone. He trusted Motil's podcast pitch about becoming a real estate badass, rolled into a self-directed IRA, and woke up with nothing but excuses. No renovations happened, no flips, just Motil's credit card bills. Then there's Investor B, that Air Force lieutenant colonel, active duty, told Motil straight up, I need my overdue payments. I'm deploying to Afghanistan soon. Won't have communication from there. Motil's just strung him along, kept the cash, sent the officer into a war zone, wondering if he'd have anything to come home to. Victim C, a cancer researcher in Florida, poured in her retirement money, chasing that passive income dream that he sold her on every episode. Believed she was the sole lien on a property worth real security. Instead, she got a front row seat to the collapse and years of scraping by without the nest egg she'd built for decades. And it wasn't just them. You guys get this. One lender on bigger pockets, a forum full of folks like us, shared his nightmare in real time. He says, and I quote, "I was on his email list for lending opportunities, listened to the podcast, checked the site, Googled him, clean, funded a short-term loan on what he swore was a clean flip," end quote. Turns out multiple liens on the same property, no disclosures, zero title policy. He's still fighting to recover pennies, warning everyone, this is straight fraud. I didn't go through title, lesson learned the hard way. So these are not faceless stats. 63 victims from every walk of life, every income bracket, doctors, veterans, retirees betting their future on a voice that sounded like wisdom. Acting U.S. Attorney Carol Skutnik nailed it. She says these victims were deceived and manipulated into handing over their hard-earned money into a shameless and selfish individual for his own benefit. No kidding. July 18th of this year, 2025, he's sentenced. 70 months, 5.1 million in restitution, and 3 years supervised release. Now, you guys, that's just the criminal side of it. So like the 5.1 million in restitution, that's the criminal side of it. So the SEC civil case is still grinding away for the full 11 million that he actually raised. You guys can go check out his Zillow profile because it is still up. 5-star reviews all the way back from 2016. Looks totally normal. And that's the scariest part. So here are the lessons I want every single one of my agents to tattoo on the insides of your eyelids. Number 1, a license is not a background check for integrity. This dude was licensed, educated, well-spoken, still a crook. Credentials don't keep people honest. Consequences do. 2, if you can't pull the recorded mortgage yourself on the county website, and this says like same day, but I know in Iowa we don't do same day. We can't check it the same day. It's like, a week or two, but we have actual attorneys working the deals. But basically, if you can't see that in the county recordings that you are the deed holder, the deal is garbage. No exceptions. I don't care how long they've been in the masterminds with you. Those fucking masterminds, you guys. Jeez. Number 3, never, ever, ever send a client into a private deal where you do not personally control the documentation or have your own attorney reviewing it. If you're just passing along a great opportunity, you're not helping, you're just lending your reputation to a stranger's crime. Just think about like when you're a connector, who you're actually connecting, because your reputation does get connected with these people that you recommend, right? 4, self-directed IRAs are the number one place these frauds hunt. When a client says, I'm thinking of rolling in my 401k into a note with some podcast guy, your answer is stop. We're calling my securities attorney right now on speaker. Do not pass go. Do not collect a referral fee. And by the way, guys, you might not have a securities attorney, so just talk to me and Holly. We have access to a legal team. If it doesn't pass the sniff test, then talk to us. We have attorneys that can back us up. If the pitch sounds like a late night infomercial, be the bank. Double-digit returns secured by real estate. Treat it like the used car salesman it is. Real private lending is fucking boring. It's spreadsheets, title reports, insurance certificates, and personal guarantees that actually mean something. If it's sexy, it's sus. Your job is not to find your clients deals, even though they think it is. Your job is actually to keep them from getting sued and getting robbed in this case. The second you forget that, you become an unpaid salesperson for the next Matt Motil. Agents, you might start having to ask, like, depending on the part of the country you live in, and this is why I do these, because nobody's had to ask me this, right? But you might have to ask me this sometime. Sandy, how do we even compete when these gurus promise 12% secured returns? Easy. We tell the truth. Safe money makes safe returns. Anything promising the moon is selling the moon and delivering a crater. Final thought. Motil's last public persona was the hero fighting unscrupulous operators. Turns out the most unscrupulous operator was that guy who was looking in the mirror. And the victims, they're the ones paying the price, not with cash, but with trust that they will never, ever get back. Don't let that be any one of you guys. If you're listening to this and you've got money with someone who won't show recorded liens today, not tomorrow, today, get your money back. Call a lawyer, call the SEC, call me if you want, but get out of it. The next cash flow king is already recording his next episode. He's looking for suckers right now. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and stay the hell away from anyone who calls themselves a king.
Applause. That was great. I love bringing basically real estate true crime to the masses, and unfortunately there's no end to that. Well, like as I'm doing research for these topics, like they just pop up and it's alarming. And I'm sure it's like that in different industries, but the real estate industry, whether these scams are led by licensed real estate agents or non-licensed real estate agents, our industry is just like flooded with bad actors, So
And, it's crazy because we pay so much for, first of all, to get a real estate license, keep a real estate license. And then also we pay for our NAR membership, which I don't know if we researched if he was a member of NAR, Holly.
didn't
I'm
check.
just curious. I'm curious on that. But that's supposed to keep the riffraff out, right? NAR. We're supposed to be like, hey, if you are dealing with a realtor, we're held to a higher level of standard and ethics and all this other stuff. But it's almost just like another club, right? And I it's it's so interesting, these stories that I hear, and it's not like I want to bring light to it to create more distrust to our industry, because we have enough of an uphill battle to fight with people fucking hating realtors. Oh, realtors, they're just overpaid and they suck and they swindle you and all this other stuff. No, that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to show that this company's different. Like, we're going to educate you that there are shitbags out there and that they're not going to be at this company, because we're going to show you to watch for the signs of that and how to protect your clients and everything.
Yeah. So turns out he, according to his Zillow profile, at the time he was an agent with Keller Williams, Greater Cleveland West. Um, so my assumption would be, as a Keller Williams agent, he was a member of the National Association of Realtors.
Because if one person is a member of NAR at a brokerage, all agents at the brokerage must be a NAR member, which I still don't understand how they can make that a rule. But that's why we had to create my real estate company too in these states, which is our non-NAR brokerage. So if we want agents to have freedom of choice. Being a NAR member makes sense for a lot of people in your business. I'm not saying don't be a member of NAR. However, there are certain people that it makes sense to not be a member of NAR. Commercial agents, farm and ranch, referral agents, maybe even some agents that just want to buck the system and try to sell residential real estate with certain MLSs not being a member of NAR. Actually, Josh, do you want to open your mic and talk about that latest rule that just dropped?
So yesterday, NAR repealed the requirement for people to have NAR membership to join an MLS at a national level, and basically said they're going to drop that down to the local boards to decide, which it will be interesting to see what happens. NAR did this because they wanted to avoid a lawsuit from agents. So I really believe that probably the local boards are also going to go along with that and say, you know what, it's not a requirement anymore because they don't want to fight a lawsuit potentially too. Um, but it could really change the way that agents where they choose to join MLSs based on, having to join NAR or not join NAR. It could have a big cascading effect, but I think ultimately it's a good thing because it gives agents more choice. And it still allows, if you want to be a member, you can, but you don't have to in order to be part of an MLS.
So I think it's just a matter of time before they have to disband, which we had talked about, right? A matter of time before they disband the rule that if one person is a member, all people have to be a member. It'll just be interesting to see how long that takes. And that's why we have an option in the states that we need those options. But I think they're going to put it on the brokerages. And of course, we already kind of know where our position will be, but it'll be interesting. Lots of changes in the industry.
Agents, do you have any questions, comments, anything from today? Alicia?
Finally, there's my button. Yeah. First, I want to say like, wow, that was ballsy, right? Like because he totally took advantage of his position, um, and screwed people over. Um, I also for those who are NAR members, um, I'm kind of throwing my hat in the political side of real estate. And so we will be having a new president of NAR. Kevin Sears has now been officially moved to being immediate past president. And so he was the president of NAR for about 15 years. And so that'll be interesting for everyone to see kind of how NAR changes under new leadership for sure. So I'd be watching kind of for some of those in the future as well.
Thanks for bringing that insight. I actually don't do a good job following that side of things, the leadership. I had no idea there was a president sitting for 15 years in
Yeah.
NAR. Holy shit.
Yeah. And so, but like Kevin is really like very modest and humble. When you meet him, I actually got the opportunity at the Iowa Real Estate Convention um to sit at the table with him during kickoff, and our table won the event, because like we had the NAR freaking president, and we were I mean, class of 99, our motto was cheat to win. So there may have been some of that too. But no, like he was really he is a really a neat guy and from what I heard from other folks, he navigated the settlement, the lawsuits, kind of DOJ stuff. And so it'll be interesting definitely to see kind of how the new leadership takes us through further DOJ, because there are still things pending with DOJ and with some of the state legislatures as well. So it's just, yeah, I think it'll be fairly interesting. And yeah, I will potentially be bringing up more things about RPAC as well. Once I am more directly involved. Right now, I'm not yet. It's very lucrative, actually.
Did you
So
apply to join the committee?
I did.
Good.
And so when we were at convention, though, during networking events and things like that, the the state level looks at your background at the local level. And so they do want you to be involved at the local level first, kind of get the hang of things there, and then potentially so that you've got some realtor leadership experience or real estate leadership experience before going to the state level. So I was not selected this year. But the future is bright. So yeah.
That's awesome. So did you apply to join committee at your local association then?
So I haven't yet. I'm waiting kind of for the first of the year to join the West Central Iowa region. Because that's actually my local board.
Got
And
it.
that's where I want to throw my hat in. So yeah, so I'm working on that. I will be doing my best to communicate with everybody in the brokerage in Iowa, to
Wonderful.
kind of get insights, and I'll be sharing information um about what our pack does, how it benefits us, and things like that. And kind of do my best to take those things then forward to folks that need to hear it directly from the agents. So it'll be interesting to get everybody's perspectives on what matters to them in their market and in their business, and take that forward. So yeah.
Well, I'm proud of you, and I'm very much we very much encourage our agents to get involved at the local and the state level, and hell, even national if somebody wants to be, that big of a motivator. But so I'm very proud of you for doing that. It took me a long time to get involved. I was just intimidated in my market, and once I did, I'm so happy I did. I joined the MLS Forms Committee, and I'm really happy that I did, because it was cool to be able to have a say. And then also, I mean, I know the shit out of our forms. So it made me a better agent, all in all. I'm very nerdy like that. I love our, the forms side of it. Disputing just these tiny nuances of words or phrases or whatever. Nobody's going to outform me when we're debating in real estate, right? So yeah, I'm very proud of you for getting involved. And I do have an RPAC tip though, for anybody listening. We all know that RPAC is not a write-off. If you are giving to RPAC, which is very, RPAC's whole point is to make home ownership, right? Am I speaking out of turn?
So the
Make home
RPAC,
ownership more,
it actually encompasses a broad spectrum of things, from protecting buyers and sellers down to protecting the individual agents
okay.
as we're conducting our business, and then expands into supporting legislation, supporting political candidates that are friendly to
They
our
they lobby, they
business.
hire
It
lobbyists.
it
So it's
it
the
is
Realtor
it is lobby.
Political Action Committee. So my tip for anybody that is giving to RPAC is don't just donate to RPAC. Wait until you're attending an event and then give your money away in a fun way. Like, when they have those charity auctions and you can get something for it, because it's already not a write-off. You already can't write it off. So you might as well get something fun out of it when they are auctioning off vacations and shit. That's my tip.
There's also, so there's actually kind of a contest competition within the state of Iowa, and I can only speak to Iowa because I'm not licensed anywhere else. But they do recognize brokerages that have a 100% participation. So, like, if all of us in the state that are members of MyReco, if we all give to our pack, like, there is, I mean, all it is bragging rights and special recognition. It's nothing, I mean, we don't get a trophy or stickers, but bragging rights is still kind of cool, right? So yeah, there's lots of information that I'll be bringing
I can
forward.
create a graphic for anything on social media, you guys. So
Yeah, yeah. So I'm excited. I but we do need to stress too that our pack is a lobby group. We are paying, making contributions to political campaigns, um, endorsing or fighting legislative arguments and things like that. It does influence laws and rules and all of that stuff, which to me is fascinating. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, good job, Alicia. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. Tomorrow, Josh, do you want to open your mic and talk about tomorrow's training before we close us out?
Yeah, we're just gonna do, I think it'll probably go about a half an hour on real estate safety and more importantly, how to prevent yourself from being in the situation that's unsafe. So it's really gonna look at preventative measures and things that you can pick up early within a relationship with a client or potential client that can give you some red flags to help you maybe not get stuck in a bad situation in the future.
Love it. We have agents constantly begging for agent safety courses, so I'm so grateful that you're gonna host that. Thanks, Josh. All right, Holly, close us out.
All right. Hey, when in doubt, reach out, message us if you need us. We are here for you. We all started this morning with a blank slate at 0. So go out and talk to a buyer, a seller, or an agent today. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.